put your hands in the air right now. If you know what's going down, if Christ wears the ground, put your hands in the air. Hey, hey, my God, He saved your soul, my God, He'll take control, my God, He'll make you whole, my God, He'll never fold, my God, Alpha, my God, Omega, my God, beginning, my God, the ending, Jehovah Jireh, my God, provider, Jehovah Nissi, my God, He's with me, my God, powerful, my God, omniscient, my God, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Come on.
Down with the King.
Close enough.
And then the boys asked me, they said, should you say hello to someone?
We're unmuted.
Yes.
What's up, man? Hey, so honey, I feel like, well, welcome to midweek, Landmark Church. You have Betty Jones, the First Lady, Elwood Jones, pastor, and we're here today. We're excited about the opportunity that we get a chance to share on something incredibly significant. I do want to qualify before we start because my wife asked me, what is MF? Like on my shirt, and I don't know if you can see that. And I said, and I had to explain to her, MF is one of the greatest rock funk groups in the history of mankind, Mother's Finest.
Okay, so
Mother's
it's not
Finest.
what y'all thought it could have been.
Right. It's actually a band.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite bands.
And then I got dope on.
So
self-explanatory.
So welcome to, I don't know what we're wearing tonight. That's the topic.
We grabbed something that was clean. That's what we did.
Yeah, man. So anyway, hey, tonight we're excited. This is one of our favorite things to talk about. And so tonight we're going to be talking about this topic that we're actually in a series, and my wife will explain the series. It's called Relationships. So honey, take it away, baby. Take it away.
So we're going to be talking about relationships, but we switched the term and it's called relation shift. And so all of us who are in a relationship, you're either married, engaged, you got a boyfriend, we all want to do our relationships better. And we bring with us tons and tons of baggage. And sometimes when we bring that baggage, it can ruin our relationships. Mm-hmm. And so we want us these next 2 days, today and then on Sunday at 11, we want to talk about how we can have a relation shift and to be better. You could be anywhere. You could be perfect in your relationship, or you could be, we need counseling. Now, I will say today, we're not going to be talking about if you need counseling. We're going to be mostly on some of the more minor things that we can help manage. Tonight in particular, we're going to be talking about fair fighting.
Fighting fair.
Fighting fair. Now, when we say fighting, again, we're not talking about, it's going to be some of these.
It's going to be some of these. Or it could be some of these.
Well, it could be some of those.
Yeah.
But we're talking about basically about conflict. Right. And in particular, when people fight, a lot of times what it can do is it can cause them, they're like this as a couple, but when they fight, it can cause them to go this way. Yeah. Create conflict and cause them to turn away from each other. Yeah. And so tonight we want to give you some tools that'll help you be able to fight fairly in a way that both of you win.
Right.
I do a show on YouTube called the Chat and Chew Show. And
it's a good show, by the way.
It's a good show, Chat and Chew Show. You can see, right? And on YouTube, we're on break right now, but Elwood and I have been married for 31 years. And if you go to the Chat and Chew Show on YouTube, you can see our whole story. We did an episode with me and Elwood. So we're not going to talk about it. But just if you're just tuning in, it's been 31 years. We've had some fights. Not really. I don't know. What would you say? Do you say we've had some?
We had some fights, man. And the thing about it is you win most of them fights, though.
Because you know better. That's why.
You win most of them joints, man. Because I retreat. I go to my corner.
Right, that's right. That's right. And so tonight we're going to give you some tools on how to fight fairly, so that you guys can be able to reconcile or to come back together.
Honey, as we're talking about, don't you think though, everybody, it's funny, as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about relationships that have lasted even the test of time, that they're always fighting. And I wonder if sometimes relationships, I think it's crazy. We presuppose that fighting is what destroys relationships. Right. Now we know that's true in general. Yeah. But there are some twisted situations and scenarios out there where there are people who actually enjoy fighting.
I know. Yeah, I say those are the type of people who love to keep drama going. For me in my house, I don't want to live in a house full of drama. Yeah. I just don't. Yeah. Let me qualify what we're going to be talking about tonight too. That some situations that you may be going through, they may not be resolved. You may not come to a consensus. Both of you, you're in your corner, he's in his corner, you have your opinion, he has his opinion about it, and there's no way you guys can come to it. So
Can you give an example of that? Because that's loaded right there. Unresolved conflict fight, like
you just put me on the spot.
yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah, because you and I mean, an unresolved fight might be a physical fight. If you're being beat on.
No, I'm not talking about that. No,
Okay.
If you're being beat on, leave. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you have your opinion on how things are,
Okay.
should be, and I have my opinion on how things are.
Yeah.
So the goal then
Right.
is to talk about it in a way,
Right.
and we're going to give you some more tools around this, but talk about it in a way that the idea would be you win, I win. But
Right.
there are some things where you win and I'm not going to win.
Okay.
Right. And so the idea for some things, they're not going to be resolved. Like this, it's still going to be, you're still going to hold your opinion. I'm still going to hold mine.
Okay. So,
That's what I mean.
but those fights don't have to end in fatality.
No, because
right?
that's what
Okay.
that's what I was leading
Okay.
to is like, so we're going to give you tools.
You can agree to disagree. Is what
You
you're
can
saying.
agree to disagree.
Okay,
That's
got
what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
and not just agree to disagree, but we can do it in a way that we don't hurt each other
Mm.
and that we don't hurt our relationship,
It's
right?
good. It's
Because you could do
That's
some
good.
things and say some things. You have your opinion, I have my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not budging, you're not budging.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we say things now that hurt each other.
Right.
So we can be able to manage it.
So we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Okay, yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
We're gonna do that tonight. we said about this.
We about to do that.
about to
That's
do
what we
that.
about to do, right? So with the whole fair fighting, and I'm just say fighting, there is a spectrum. There is pet peeves, things that get on your nerves,
Right.
and then there is knockdown, drag out.
Right.
And again, like I already said earlier, this show, or right now, this service is
Right.
not about knockdown, drag out. I will say, if you are in a knockdown, drag out, you need counseling. You need to
Right.
go and get some professional help because
Right.
there are some things you need a third party to help you navigate through.
Right.
And then maybe you're not at knockdown, drag out, but you're at a place where you're feeling like we need a third party to help
Right.
us to manage some of the conflict that's happening in our home.
Right. Right.
Why is this important? Why
Yeah.
is this important?
Well, for me, sometimes it's not the big things that blow you. Sometimes it's the little
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
I think the little things, they chip away at
Yes.
you in ways that, I always think like from a male standpoint, if I could just be very honest, I think for men, when they have to come home to a wife or a woman that's always at them,
Yeah.
always bickering, but then they're in other spaces where the woman is affirming, it's a real tough, that's
Yeah.
a tough battle. You come home and you think you're not anything, but then when you're out,
Yeah.
you're all of it.
You're the
At least you feel like you're the stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I heard that same thing put like this as a metaphor, like you're in a boxing ring. And in the boxing ring, your people are on the side, right? So you get all in the fight, you get all beat up, and then you go to your corner, and the people in your corner, they're doing this, they're helping you, right?
Right.
So same thing in the house, and you go to your corner, and you're feeling like you're being beat up in your corner too. You're fighting in the ring, and then you're fighting in your corner
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So I think again, the
That's
idea
good.
for all of this is being able to fight and disagree and have conflict in a way that you don't hurt each other and rip your relationship
Right.
apart.
I love what you said before because the end game is a win.
Win-win.
Yeah. it's
You
good.
win, I win. You win, I
Yeah,
win. That means
yeah.
that I'm going to have to sometimes humble myself,
Right.
and sometimes you're going to have to humble yourself
Yeah.
so that both of us can feel like we win in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were saying there's a spectrum. There is a pet peeve,
Yeah.
and then knockdown, drag out. So when I say pet peeve, I mean things that get on your nerves. So we're gonna just open up this can of worms. We might, if you are a pastor out there, we might need some counseling after this.
After this one, I'm calling Pastor
'Cause
Joe, Pastor.
That's right, Whitaker,
Whitaker. I'm calling Pastor Ethel, Doctor. I'm calling Doctor.
Reverend Doctor. So we have not discussed. I haven't told him what my pet peeve is, and he hasn't told me what his is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have you go first. Or what is your pet peeve?
I got so many.
See what I mean? Pastor Whitaker, hit your girl up.
Which one should I pick tonight? Okay,
All right.
hold on.
Go ahead.
So So okay, so I was joking about that at first,
Oh,
but
Lord.
then all of a sudden 10 popped in my head.
Oh my
Okay, no,
gosh.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, I got it good, man. I don't have a lot of pet peeves. I think the one thing though is like even tonight we were discussing this conversation, and I feel like sometimes like I try to explain stuff, and she talks all over me. Like I feel like sometimes when here's a pet. This is I wouldn't even say it's a pet peeve. It's just like okay, that's just I could be could be talking, and all of a sudden she just fall asleep. Like when we just have a conversation, I listen to 4 hours of her talk.
Oh my
And then
God, no, he
4
doesn't.
minutes of my talk, she fall asleep. No, I'm just joking.
No, he is not. He always says that. When I start talking, he falls asleep. Okay, I'm not going to defend myself.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That's good.
So that would be a pet peeve. A pet peeve, we're not going to, our relationship is not ending because I have a pet peeve.
Because
but
you fall asleep, it's not going.
It's not going to end, but we do need to figure out. So I got some points, some tips. Don't talk to me when it's like 12 o'clock at night. Okay, anyway. Don't tell me a long good story.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
Or try to read like chapters of the Bible to me.
Oh, right. So yeah, so like TD, I can say something really cool, right? And then TD Jake said like in the morning time, and she'd be like, "Oh, that was so good." I'm like, I just said that last night while you was. All right, honey. All right, what's your?
All right,
pet
so
peeve?
my pet peeve is my husband is becoming Chef Elwood. That's my okay. I love that he's cooking. You know, you guys most know that. You know, I'm going through this illness right now, and just believe in God for healing. And he's been great at helping, cooking, all of that.
So you
right?
saying I'm a great cook?
Yeah, your food has been really good.
Thank you.
Food Network is helping. But here's my pet peeve. He throws food in the sink. I cannot stand that. You're getting ready to wash dishes and there's piles. I'm like, what is a trash can for? Throw the food in the trash can. I can't take it.
We have a garbage disposal.
I know, but
It's
still.
called garbage
It's
disposal.
so gross. It's so gross. I cannot stand it. Anyway, that's my pet peeve.
Okay.
Stop throwing the food in
Okay,
the garbage.
baby. If that hurts her feelings, I'm gonna like if I'm 100% doing that, I'm gonna at least get to 50%.
Okay,
Is
I
that
can go.
fair?
I can go with
Okay,
50.
all right.
I'm gonna put a sign by the sink though. Throw it in the trash.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
So you can see as we talking about
That's
pet
not a
peeve,
deal breaker.
that's not a deal breaker. Like I'm not leaving him. He's not gonna leave me, hopefully.
Right. right.
Right. But you may run into a young lady who'd be like, you can throw food in the
You can throw
sink.
food all you want. Just throw it around. Just throw it all around. I don't care. I'll clean it up. And give you a back rub too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, but honey, can we just dig a little deeper? Like,
Yeah.
is there anything like that could have been like, because one of the
Like
things.
a deal breaker.
Well,
They gotta watch last week with the Smiths.
last week with Smith, but I'm talking about like with so you'd rather
That
them watch
episode.
last week.
Yeah. So
with
not
the
go.
Smiths?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're watching this on Elwood Jones Jr. page, go to the Landmark Church of Alexandria page, Landmark Church VA, and you'll see it. And I think it's on YouTube as well, or it will be on YouTube.
Yeah, because that would open up a whole different
Okay,
can, right?
okay.
Like, what would be a deal breaker? So I think
Okay.
tonight we're just gonna focus on, that's again, I keep saying spectrum, pet peeve to knock down, drag out. We're gonna go from pet peeve to kind of like right in here,
Okay.
right? And not go serious. But yeah, I feel for you if you are in a relationship where it's really tough right now. We've been home, for months now, and it can be really tough. And like, some things when you were first dating and all that was cute.
Right.
And now it's like, oh my, you're gonna be doing this the whole time,
Yeah.
right? And it starts to get to you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the tools to be able to manage the conflict well, like you said
Yeah.
earlier, it'll just chip at you and chip at you and chip at you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you need a pen to write this down or grab your phone. So first of all, I'm gonna give you fair fighting fours. Fair fighting fours. 4 things. This is kind of a lens to think about when I give you some other tools in a few minutes. So the fair fighting fours. And let me say, I didn't make this up. I got it from Fellowship Church, Ed Young Jr. and you can check them out. But Fair Fighting Fours. When you are ready to deal with the conflict in your relationship, pet peeve, whatever it is, you want to be able to say what you feel truthfully. You want to say what you feel truthfully. Okay. You want to say what you feel and think tenderly. Like you don't want to be like, you don't want to do all that. Now, for our family, especially, well, not now. Like we don't raise our voices to each other. This is what I mean by that. I'm not like yelling at you like
She's not yelling at me, but she do.
I could raise my voice, but it's
But
know
you
what I mean. I'm not screaming at you.
You're not.
Right. And you don't scream at me.
I don't.
Now I think in the early days when we first got married, I think you did try to scream on me.
Yeah, and you shut it down.
I shut it down. Here's why I gotta have peace in my house. I'm sorry. I can't.
Did I really yell at you though?
I think you did. But we're talking 31 years ago. So maybe I remember somebody else yelling. I don't know.
I don't know. I probably did.
I'm just like, I don't want to be arguing and fussing. I don't know if you've been around people like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I mean when I say tenderly. I mean, you're going to bring your personality to it, but you'll be, I don't want to live like that. Some people are okay with living like that.
Yeah.
They feel like I'm getting it out, but for me, I don't want to. So we're talking about Fair Fighting Fours. We said, speak truthfully, tenderly, and timely.
Yes, timely.
Tell us how important timely is.
Well,
Being able to say that.
Well, timely is tricky. Like, I think the worst thing about, like when you're in conflict, most times when you're hurt or you're pushed against the wall, you want to scream out right there. And I think one of the things that we've learned, you and I both have learned, is that timing is key because, and the problem with timing for me, and this is my problem, is sometimes I will reserve the pushback or the being truthful tenderly at the time because I'm afraid that you're not going to receive it well. Mm-hmm. And so what ends up happening is I reserve it for another time and I never get to it. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is when I don't get to that time where, or I don't cover it, there's so much space that's gone by and it's still eating at me. Mm-hmm. So then you do one other thing that frustrates me and I bite on that. But really, I'm still mad about the thing that Right. So timely is kind of a tricky thing, like figure out, like the Bible says, don't let your anger sun go down your wrath or your anger. Like, so there is a point where I think timely, even in the moment, might just be like, you know what, we need to talk about this, but hey, let's wait till we're cooled off a little bit.
Right.
But we can't. And sometimes I tell you, I used to, like, I had this thing like, I'm never going to be mad going to bed with Betty. But what happened is I would get mine out, and you're a processor. Mm-hmm. So if I get mine out now, I'm like, I'm okay. And I go to sleep,
I'm still thinking
she's still thinking about it. Should we wake up in the morning time and you're still mad?
Yeah, or thinking,
or thinking about it because I just broke you off.
Right.
So timely is key.
I think another one with timely. So again, the Fair Fighting Fours, we said truthfully, tenderly, and then timely is like when someone is in the middle of doing something, you don't want to just jump in and try to break them off with what you did or how I felt, that kind of thing, right? Again, I think that's what another way to think of the proper time for that. And then tactfully. Yeah. Right? Yeah. How you do it. And
that's key.
Some of this you will, if you married 6 months, you still learning how that goes. You've been married a little bit more time. You kind of know when's the right time. You kind of know this is, if I say it like this is more tactful. Some days, because we've been together for so long, I could just say what I want to say or say how I feel it. He can say how he wants to too. Right. And because we got history, then I know it's not like a deal breaker or like, well, you see that you hurt my feelings, like that kind of thing. Right. So think about the Fair Fighting Fours as glasses that you have on.
That's good.
Two pair of glasses that you have on. So now we're going to give you, again, you want to be able to write this down. I wish there was a way we could put this in the show notes. I don't know if there's a way you could do that. Yeah. And we're going to give you, and I don't want you to see.
So, okay.
So, the Bible talks about the 10 commandments. Actually, there's more than that. So I'm going to give you the 13 commandments when it comes to fair fighting. So thou shalt not.
So do not.
Yeah, so these are the thou shalt not.
Okay.
And we're not covering all 13 today. We're gonna try to get through like about 5 or 6 today,
Okay.
and then on Sunday we'll get through the rest. So the way this is gonna work, again, Elwood doesn't know all this, is I'm gonna ask him, I'm gonna tell him one of the commandments. Remember, we got 13 here, and then we're gonna decide which of us do this.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
So remember, the whole goal again,
See
is
how
that-
this works.
yes, work. So the goal again is that we can have tools in our tool belt to be able to fight fairly, because we don't want to fight in a way that make us turn away from each other.
Right.
We want to turn to each other and then win.
Win,
We both
win.
win.
Yeah.
But we want to hold it, and I'm just so notorious at this. I will hold conflict. I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
I just it'll
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't want to talk
So
about it. and all
she'll
that.
hold conflict, but I'm like, let's get this out in the open now.
Right.
So we're different in that.
Right.
So,
All right. So here we go.
So here we go. All right.
The
Let's see if
first
our marriage
commandment
lasts.
of fair fighting: thou shalt not belittle your spouse in public.
Okay.
So
So
which of us do that?
belittle. So if you want to know what I think,
Yeah.
belittle.
Which
No,
of us do that?
belittle. You don't belittle.
Yeah.
You
I
don't belittle.
I don't think.
But you do, like, you are sometimes snarky.
Yeah.
And you're snarky around other people, like about me sometimes.
Is it your family though?
No. You'll say stuff like, "Oh, look at that! Like, well, you got butter on your face."
No,
Sometimes she try to cook me, right? I'm like, where'd that come from? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Come on, like,
I think he just making
no,
up some stuff.
I'm not making it up.
So you feel like sometimes I belittle you.
I don't think I don't know if you're
So am I
trying.
just
or not.
like trying to be funny?
I think you're trying to be funny at my expense, and I'm like, I don't know. So
Okay.
see, we're about to get in trouble here. 'Cause I ain't gonna lie.
Right,
gonna lie.
please don't lie. So,
So-
when we say belittle,
No, you don't belittle.
so belittle is like, you guys are in a group or you're out somewhere and you're like, and he does something, you're like, you're so stupid. Why would you do that?
No.
But you're doing that in front of people.
Right.
Like, why are you saying that? We have
Right,
friends who
right.
will,
But that's see, to me, I think there's levels of belittling.
yeah,
Right. So like that would be the high level
that's
extreme
that's
belittle.
extreme.
But another level is like, so you're gonna eat all the biscuits. You're gonna eat all
Say something to somebody
you're
else.
gonna eat all the biscuits? Why don't you say something?
Now so again, because we got history,
Right,
like if I said to him, you gonna eat all the biscuits,
right.
it's not a deal breaker, I don't think.
It's not a deal
But
breaker.
it's packaged in humor. But my husband, he's like, he has this though. Like if you try to cook me, I'm gonna try to cook you back.
I am that
So he'll
way.
cook you back.
So and then and that's where it gets the problem, because if she do that, so I can kind of take it. Can we be honest? about this?
Yeah.
I can take it a little bit more than you.
Mm-hmm.
I can. So if she say something to me and then I come back at her, then it's like,
But this is in public, not just with us.
right? No, it's in public. It's
Okay.
in public. So anyway, all right. See,
Okay.
I told you I was getting from.
All right. So here's the next: thou shalt not psychoanalyze each other. And this comes from you read a book, you heard a phrase, or something. You read a book, you heard a phrase, and now I'm about to psychoanalyze you. I done watched Oprah and Dr. Phil, and I'm about to psychoanalyze you.
Ivana Van Zant, whatever her name is.
Y'all know that man.
Whatever her name is. Look, so okay, truth be told, that's you all day.
All
long.
day. It
All
is.
day.
I will
She
admit
always
that.
like, what I think is going on with you. I'm like,
I got a
my
checklist.
wife was saying I had midlife crisis like years after I was done with midlife crisis. She just missed it. So,
Right. So remember, in this we're talking about in fair fighting some thou shalt nots, so
Right.
some of the
Okay.
Ten
yeah,
Commandments. So
okay.
we said first, don't belittle
Right.
your spouse in public.
Right.
The next one, this is kind of funny. Don't psychoanalyze them.
Okay.
Which it's so hard not to do after you read a good book.
Right. Yeah.
To teach you how to do it.
Guilty.
Here's another one. He said I'm guilty. So right now I got two guilties. Okay. Here's another one. Thou shalt not interrupt them while they're talking. While they're talking. And this is a part of that too. And don't correct them. So for example, when he's telling a story, or when I'm telling a story, your spouse, your significant other corrects the minor details of the story?
Sorry, 3. She got 3. I mean, I could actually be in church preaching, and I could tell a story that she know about, and she will be on the front row.
I can't help
And
myself.
if I say it's 3 people, man, it was 3 dudes, man. We were standing out, and she was like, "It's 2." What difference does it make if it was 3 or 2? I forgot. I'm like, she was just correcting my message. I'm like,
no, not good.
it's okay.
Not
We're
good.
making it through this without counseling even.
So that's a thou shalt not interrupt. But it's like you can't help yourself, because it's like in your mind, it's like, well, you need to say it was 2 people, because 3 people with me, I don't know what
Right.
I'm doing.
But honey, get me though, because I know I do that too. You don't want to say,
interrupt me?
I interrupt you in the sense that, you say in public though, right?
Yeah, we're talking
I don't
about
do it. Yeah, I don't do it a lot in public. I do it personally.
We're
I
talking,
inter-
you just
I
interrupt.
just interrupt her all day personally.
You mean like right now?
Right,
No, I'm joking.
right.
Okay. All right. Here's another. Thou shalt not compare your spouse. And I love this phrase. It's not fair to compare. So thou shalt not compare your spouse.
Yeah. I just don't. Yeah. And this, I mean, I'm not even trying to boost like I got it pretty good. So
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
So
you all right. So I ain't messing.
there's nobody. I mean, like, I think it's dangerous to do that.
Yeah.
Like for me, I mean, you see me being honest. I don't compare you to nobody else.
Right. The comparison thing is hard, because what ends up happening is I think a lot of couples say, well, I wish he was more like Tommy, where he picks up the trash, right? Yeah, but Tommy don't come home on time. Like Tommy stay out later, like
Right.
you don't know that part.
You don't know
about
all the
the stuff about Tommy. So that's why it's hard when you start making comparisons, because it's just not fair. Like at the end of the day, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, but at the end of the day, like I'm not looking somewhere else to say. But now if our marriage was strained, then I might look and say, dang, man, she, I might.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, not that I would
It's
want to.
yeah. So in comparison, is like I'm looking at you and I'm looking at them and I'm looking at their highlight reel. Like,
Right.
Yeah. I'm looking at their highlight
Everybody
reel.
got a highlight reel.
You do. You got your Instagram doctored up photos. But again, like you were saying, so it's not fair to compare.
Yeah, it's good.
And even if you do compare, don't ever verbalize it. Like it just, I guess it just has to be in your mind. Because we're talking about fair fighting. It is unfair for you to say, I wish you could be like Jim, because Jim, he takes his daughter. He takes his wife to the
Right.
only thing I think was a Red Lobster.
You can tell we don't go to too many
Nobody's
places.
going out right now, right? So it's unfair to do that. I wish you could do, that kind of thing. Because there's somebody said no win in comparison.
Yeah.
You just cannot win with compare. And how does that make your teammate, your spouse, feel when you're looking at them, comparing them to somebody else?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I do think though there are times when we may get to that later. So I'm not going.
Okay.
Because that we might be fighting for real.
Oh no, my gosh.
And I don't want to fight tonight.
All right. So far we said, thou shalt not belittle your spouse, even if it's kind of packaged in humor. Be careful about that.
Yeah.
We said, thou shalt not psychoanalyze them after you read a book or seen a show or something. Thou shalt not interrupt or correct them. Thou shalt not compare your spouse. Okay, here's another one. This is huge. This is a real serious one. Thou shalt not name call.
Yeah. And you got some hard ones on here.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So thou shalt not name call. So I'm not going to be. We're having a discussion about why you put food in the sink.
Right.
I'm not going to take it from you. I'm not going to take it there and start trifling. Yeah, I'm not going to go that. Yo, mama, I'm not going to go there, because what that's going to do is escalate it. Yeah. It's a minor thing, because I'm like, hey, do you mind not throwing food in the sink? Okay, I won't. That's the end of that. But if I take it here, then it's going to escalate and go up and up and up.
Yeah.
And again, the goal is to come together, not to be ripped apart,
Yeah.
especially on some dumb stuff. In my mind, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Some dumb.
You know, I would even say, where I think I get into trouble on this one is I don't name call, but I think
You do on your breath? No, I'm joking.
no, but I think I joke too much though. Like I think sometimes I just take stuff way too far with the sarcasm, and I take stuff way too far with just clowning you sometimes. Right?
Yeah,
but that's not the same. That's not the
not
same.
the same. No, that's not
Okay.
the same. Yeah, name calling is when, you know, we have a friend of ours.
So when
who-
I call you bug eye, that's not.
like when you call me bug eye in front of all of these
Oh,
guys.
my bad.
It's like in public. Like we have a friend who is divorced now, and she tells stories of her spouse calling her names. I was so surprised by this because I just thought it was so cruel, like calling her bees and
Yeah.
all this, and you know, and use. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Again, for me in my house,
Yeah.
I have to have peace. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I cannot live in a hostile, dramatic fashion. Let me say, if you're single, you better look at the tendencies of the person you're getting ready to get in a
Yeah,
relationship
no
with.
joke.
Because if they like drama, that drama won't subside when you get married. They're just going to create the drama
Yeah.
in your household.
And listen to them how they talk about their past relationships.
Yeah,
If it's always that person and it always seems as high drama,
yeah,
you better know that's going to be drama in your life as well.
yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
I just do. You want to do
we got one more.
One more.
One
All
more.
right. And then we'll
I'm
say
trying
the-
to decide which one. Okay. Here is the last thou shalt not for tonight, and that is thou shalt not keep score.
Ooh, ouch.
You remember when?
Ooh, okay. So keep score. Okay. All right. So that's probably more on me. That is a more serious one for me. So, and it goes back to sometimes not being truthful on the front end.
Mm.
So when you're not truthful on the front end, and it's one that it's not let go of. Like it's not one that it's so serious that you can't just let it go because it never goes away. You have to deal with it. And so what happens is it harbors on the inside.
But I don't think you keep score. This
Go ahead.
keep score is like, you remember, well, you kind of do this, but you
I'm
remember,
guilty.
like,
I'm a little guilty
you
of this.
remember like in 1985 when you did such and such?
Yeah. So I mean, so not to give the details, but I remember it. You
Go
mind
ahead.
if I bring it? Because I think part of our thing is we have a good relationship, but what we don't want people to believe and say, oh, they're just good. They got it good like that. It's not just good like that. Like we struggle. I have an ego. I'm dealing with, all the stuff that I'm dealing with. And as a man, I want to make sure that I'm doing right by my wife, but I want to feel right as well. And we was in a situation where I felt like my wife when I would ask her to do something, it was a little hard for her to do it. Like you always ask me last minute to do it. But then when somebody else asked you that wasn't your husband to do something that was more pastor-like, I felt like you jumped at it and you jumped at it hard. And so the problem was I felt strapped to not confront you about it on the front end because I knew you loved being in that environment and you got not life out of it, but it was fulfilling and it was a good situation. So I felt like I was caught in the catch-22 because on one side I'm feeling like, wow, I just asked you, can you get some tea out the refrigerator while you standing? This person types in at 3:00 in the morning, you get up and do stuff. And I'm like, that was an issue for me back then, And so what happened was I harbored that for a long, long time. So, and I don't know if that was, what do you call it? What's this one? This one.
Keeping score.
I don't know if it wasn't a keeping score overtly, but it was a keeping score covertly. It's not that I was keeping score, but it was like I was holding on to what brought me pain and not really dealing with it in a timely manner, going back to what we said in the beginning.
And yeah. So I think keeping score too is like when of all the wrongs. I think that's another thing.
Yeah.
All the wrongs that
Yeah.
when you start bumping heads, then
Yeah.
you start bringing up all the wrongs.
Yeah, all the wrongs. Yeah,
You know, I mean, some of the wrongs can be something really minor, like why'd you buy that car?
right.
You know, or it could be, you know, you cheated on me. And
Right.
so now I said I forgive you,
Right.
and there's a trigger. And so when we're fighting about putting food in the sink,
Yeah.
now I bring up, and that's why you was with that other woman, right? That's
right,
keeping score.
Yeah,
Because
you,
we already
you don't do that a
No.
lot. I don't. You
No.
don't. You never. Yeah, you're really good. I feel like I'm not as good. I don't know if I keep score, but I do hold on to some
because
stuff.
you got the payback spirit on you.
I do have a little bit of payback because you do something to me.
I'm about
Y'all
to get you
felt
back.
that? I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back.
That
No,
ain't
I'm just
good.
joking. That's just
Good,
not right.
good,
That's, see, I got issues. But you're really good by not like I've done something and like you've called me out on stuff just as I ain't gonna say this. We're gonna tell this one day though, something that you called me out on that I deserved it. And you just forget, you never held it against me. Like you never like brought it back up. Well, you did that, like you just let it go. And that's good. Like most people don't do that.
Yeah.
Even myself.
So tonight we've been talking about fair fighting, and we gave you, let me see, 1, 2, 6 of the 13 commandments on fair fighting.
Yeah.
And let me just say what they are again, and then Elwood has some other things.
Yeah.
So we said, thou shalt not belittle your spouse in public, your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Thou shalt not psychoanalyze. I love this one because I ain't gonna promise you that I'm not gonna do this. Thou shalt not keep score. Thou shalt not interrupt them or correct them while they're talking. And thou shalt not, that's just cracking you up. Thou shalt not compare your spouse, because it's not fair to compare. And then thou shalt not name call. So join us on Sunday for the rest of it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the two scriptures that come to mind that I think is very important, because at the end of the day, like we want this to be a win-win, right? Like, and I would say from a relationship standpoint, if you could gather this, I think most people, if they can remember the picture that they had in their mind of what they wanted their end to look like, will really help. So for instance, Betty and I think we have a similar picture, but my end game is I want to live well into my 80s, maybe 90s or whatever. Our family lived for a long time, so I'm probably going to live pretty long. But I see us sitting together by the water, drinking tea with our grandkids running around. And that picture alone pushes me to make sure that I fulfill my purpose with you. And there's a scripture that says, how can two walk together unless they agree? And I would say that you and I don't agree on everything. That's Amos 3:3, I think. We don't agree on everything, but one of the things that we will do is we try to come to, even if we're in disagreement, we agree on this one thing, that our disagreements are not going to keep us from getting to our end game and our end goal. And there's some things that you just pardon me on. Like you just like, you know what? He ain't gonna never pick his drawers up out of the floor. I'm gonna have to pick his drawers up. I'm gonna have to wash them. I'm gonna have to dry them, and I'm gonna have to fold them. She got to do 4 things with this drawers. So it's like, and so how can two walk together? Let's say agree. But at the bigger picture, go ahead.
Can I add something? I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt because thou shalt not interrupt. But like I think we said this a little bit earlier because I know some woman was out there listening and pick up his drawers. He can pick up his own drawers and wash them and fold them and all that stuff.
Yeah, I could.
You certainly could.
Don't.
You don't.
I just don't.
So for me, I've decided, and you make the decision for your own household. For me, because I don't want to step on. It's like seriously, this is it. I decided that I would just pick them up and wash them myself. I just decided that, right? So this is what has to happen. And this is what has to happen. A lot of times because relationships are give and take. You got to humble yourself.
Yes.
I have to humble myself. He has to humble himself. If this is 31 years later, we decided we're going to humble ourselves. humble ourselves
Yeah.
in that. So I just
Yeah.
want to say, because you talked about those draws, because that will rub some women
That could
like
that's
the
good.
wrong way.
But I
I'm
mean,
gonna be
on-
getting
on
hate
the-
mail.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, I mean, to keep it real, I'm not trying to defend myself, but I don't do that as much now as I used to.
That's true.
You know, there's some things at some point, the things that rub her wrong, I have to make adjustments. And the reason is because of this scripture that I'm going to read, Philippians 2:3. It says, don't do anything from selfish ambition. It's selfish for me to leave my drawers on the floor if I know it's going to frustrate her. Or from a cheap desire to boast, but humble yourself towards one another. I love that. Humble yourself, which just simply means that at the end of the day, yeah, we walk in this thing together, but there comes a time where I undergird who you are to humble myself underneath you, to lift you up. And then it says this, always considering others better than yourself. And I think if most relationships went into this with this idea that this thing really isn't just about me. It's not about my fulfillment, but it's really about we, and it's about how I can fulfill you. And I always said, this is free what I'm about to share. People ask me all the time, what kept your relationship going for over 30 years? And I contend that you and I decided that we're going to love each other, not based on what you do for me and how you fulfill me, but I'm going to love you no matter what. Even when you correct me, even when things don't happen, things don't happen the way I want them to happen. I still, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still made a choice to love you, and that love is sacrificial at times, and we just have to do that. And so I want to end with this, also considering others, in this case, my wife, your spouse, your significant other, better than yourself.
Yeah. And I will tell you, there is no way in God's green earth that we could do this in our own power.
Yeah.
It is Jesus,
yeah, no doubt.
Jesus. And not just go to church Jesus,
Yeah.
not just be around Christian people Jesus.
Yeah.
This is, we have totally surrendered our lives to his purpose and his plan.
Yeah.
So the reason that both of us can approach conflict this way is because we said, Jesus, you are Lord of my life first.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he is the only one
Yeah.
that can help us
Well,
to be able to do this.
And that's so true. And people who know me and who are on Facebook with us right now, who know me, know that that's true. Because before God, I was all about me. And I could, not that I could care less what you thought, but I cared more about what I thought. And that's just the truth. And I'll say this as I close in a word of prayer, and then you'll have an announcement at the very end that's important. But if it wasn't for God, I mean, first of all, we wouldn't even be on this platform right now anyway. Like, God really has this way of changing and transforming your life. And a lot of, like, I would say my main narrative was, it's all about me. Selfishness is all about me. And I think God is the one that made the transition. I know God made the transition in my life, a transition from just being selfish, and I still have selfish ways, but being more selfless, where I care for my wife. And so I end with that. Jesus was selfless. He was so selfless that he was willing to go to the cross for us and die for us. And so tonight I'm going to close in a word of prayer, and then Betty will just have a quick announcement, and then we'll be done with you. Done with this. We'll be done with you. We'll be done, and I'm gonna deal with it now. But let's pray. Father, just thank you so much for the night. Thank you for the fact that, Lord, you are the mender of the broken heart. You are the one. If two come together underneath you, Lord, that you fulfill that relationship. There are so many out here who've been fractured, who've been damaged, who've been hurt through relationships, and trying to figure out, should I do this even again? Should I try again? There are people who are in the midst of marital relationships right now, and they're trying to figure out if I could even survive this. And so, Father, I just pray right now that you would give us your heart, your desire, and your wisdom as it relates to relationships, Lord. May we channel every opportunity that we have to have great relationships, that we channel it through you, that you give us the wisdom, give us the desires of our heart as we delight ourselves in you, Lord. And Father, for those who are hanging, this is for somebody out here who are just hanging on the edge and saying, man, will I ever have a relationship again? Father, I just pray right now that you're the one that's able to draw people together. And so, Father, I just ask right now, Lord, that you would give hope for anyone that's sitting out here thinking, I'm done, I can't do this again, or no one's ever going to receive me. Father, I just ask that everyone that's on this, that's dealing with that there'd be great pickers based on the wisdom that you give them. Father, may you bless us in the midst of our relationship. And we thank you, Lord, that we have this reconciling relationship with you, that we draw close to you as you draw close to us. And Father, may that impact our lives as we have this horizontal relationship with others, Lord. So may you bless all of us. Meet our relational needs, I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us for Midweek Landmark Church. And so we are excited that you guys want to hear the part 2 of Thou Shalt Not. So join us on Sunday, same format, at 11 a.m. We're excited to have you with us. We want to also get some of your comments too about what you thought about some of the things that was said today. So that'd be great. Again, we are Landmark Church of Alexandria, and we invite you to go to our website and you can check out some things that are going on there, see some photos of some people who are part of our community. We are Landmark Church, a safe space for people who are looking for a place to belong. So we cannot wait to be able to gather back in real life. But in the meantime, Landmark Church has tons of small groups that you can get connected to. Again, go to our website. We have a men's group that you can get connected to. We do Monday prayer call. They do something on Tuesday called Tuesday Talks, where it's kind of like a Bible studies with a teen. So just every second Sunday, we have what we call Sister Circle, formerly Chat and Chew. So again, go to our website at landmarkchurchva.com and to get some more information. Another thing is that ministry is still going on. So also on the website, you can donate, and your generosity helps us to continue to do what we feel like God has called us to do. In the community, in our own body. Last Sunday, we were able to celebrate the graduates. I don't know how many graduates. We did social distancing, but 10 graduates, we tried, I know. We grilled out. It was just a great time, but a ministry like that is still going. So your generosity continues to make that happen. Here's a big one I'm so excited about. We have started something. We've opened it up not just to people at our church, but it's to everybody in the United States and outside the United States. Team Landmark. And being a part of Team Landmark is a great thing because, one, you partner with us to be able to continue to do ministry. We have people who are on the team who are in Minnesota, California, in Florida. So you said thank you.
I said thank you.
Like people who are like all over the country in Team Landmark. So I invite you right now to go to landmarkchurchva.com. And I think it's at the bottom. You're going to fill out the connect card and the contact card, and you're going to put your basic information there along with your t-shirt size. And we're going to send you a t-shirt that says Team Landmark. And what that means is you're going to now, we're hoping and asking you to be praying for us. To when you're in town, you come and visit us. You get to hear about some of the things that God is doing here at Landmark, and then your generosity is going to help us to keep going. So that's what we have with those announcements.
That's it. Well, bless you guys. Thank y'all so much. We'll see what happens, but we should be going out to some music. So, and if not, I'll just have Betty say.
All right, there you go. What a mighty God we serve. I went back. What a mighty God we serve. We got heaven and earth adore him.